We are the stars. We are the planets. We share a fundamental connection with all creation. We are individual manifestations of the subtle oneness. Since the beginning of time, man has turned to the sky for answers concerning that connection, knowing that the sky provides the clues to know our real self. Astrology studies the stars as an external reference to human nature. As above, so below. The basic instrument of astrology is the zodiac, a symbolic elliptical belt made up by 12 signs: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. The basic tool for our astrological understanding is our unique natal chart. Our natal chart is the mirror of our inner celestial space. It is the map of the sky with respect to the Earth at the moment of our birth. As in the solar system, the sun is the central element of our chart. The sign in which this celestial body is at the moment of our arrival to this life is our solar sign. And it is the reflection of the central energy of our being. Therefore, this work, Astro 12, the collection, is centered in the 12 solar signs and its relations with other esoteric traditions.
Your sign, your inner self. The solar sign symbolizes the basic traits of your psyche. It reflects your inner urges, your approach to life. It indicates the way you tend to express your talents. It reveals the way you are prone to handle your fears and limitations. Pisces' nature is shaped by its position on the zodiac. It is influenced by its emotional element, water, by the presence of the astrological fish, and by its special relationship with Neptune and Jupiter. The sign of Pisces transits from February 19th to March 20th.
It is the 12th sign and is the closure of the upper part of the zodiac wheel. It is preceded by the 3 maturing signs that signal the expansion of individual understanding into social and humanitarian consciousness. Sagittarius, the I believe 3rd fire sign, strives to integrate within a larger framework all the experience and knowledge gathered through the previous signs. Capricorn, the I can, I am responsible 3rd earth sign, embodies the achieving of goals and public recognition. Aquarius, the I know idealistic 3rd air sign, questions material accomplishments and promotes innovations for the benefit of humanity as a whole. And so Pisces comes to the fore as it changes the Aquarian interest for general humanity to love and compassion for each and every human being. Pisces is the I love sign. Pisceans are the most compassionate and loving people of the zodiac. The element from nature corresponding to Pisces is water, the source of life. This most primordial and enigmatic of the elements is associated with feelings, sensitivity, intuition, and fluidity. People of water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, are intuitive and emotional. They assess reality from their hearts. They have an intimate contact with the profundity of the psyche. They move easily through the dark waters of the subconscious. They have a difficult time understanding the objective world. Of all the water people, the Pisceans are the most detached from what we call reality. They are very sensitive and highly impressionable. Selfless and willing to sacrifice, they are always ready to help others. The more evolved Pisceans express their water nature through great insightful wisdom that can even take them to mysticism. The symbol of Pisces is the fish. Its glyph depicts two fish joined by a golden thread. They seem to be swimming in opposite directions. This symbol illustrates the Piscean duality in which these people display their skill. They navigate the undulating sea of infinity as well as they glide through the still waters of the mundane world. Piscean's mission is to be the bridge between the conscious and the unconscious, between the physical and spiritual worlds. No easy task in this very materialistic world. Pisces' psychic energy is feminine and receptive, yin in Oriental traditions. While we all possess both masculine and feminine energies, astrology reveals the predominance of one of them in each sign. This receptive energy reinforces the aquatic profundity of Pisceans. The combining energies of water and yin guide Pisceans to the depths of the unconsciousness and to the heights of cosmic consciousness. This yin energy reinforces their loving and giving nature. Piscean nature can, in part, also be explained by the intimate relationship of this sign with its ruler planet Neptune and its co-ruler Jupiter. Neptune, as Uranus and Pluto, is a planet associated with change. However, Neptune orchestrates changes in a more subtle way than the other two. Neptune is in charge of the dissolution of boundaries. It guides people through the transcendental and the subtle. This can be terrifying because it urges us to go beyond the limitations of the self and to merge in a transcendental us, to experience the expression of the one. Realizing the importance of this journey requires courage and usually takes some time. Neptune is the Roman god of the oceans. These are places where everything becomes confusing, where forms dissolve and colors mix. Neptune symbolizes all that is intangible in human nature. It embodies the conviction that the individual soul is an indivisible part of the cosmic spirit, and that everything is a manifestation of a divine power. It awakens our consciousness through symbolism. Neptune takes us out of our useless egocentrism. It provides access to ancestral wisdom and the collective unconsciousness through dreams and mystical illusions. Neptune's energy is coupled to the power of magic, incantation, and fantasy. It relates to any activity that has the appearance of defying natural laws. It engenders an appreciation for the aesthetic and the artistic. But this planet can also represent confusion. The Neptune dark side can point to the Piscean tendency to live in ecstasy, seeking more satisfaction than the demands of daily living can offer. Under his influence, people can feel victimized by an incomprehensible and impelling force. The co-ruler of Pisces, Jupiter, the great benefactor, symbolizes grace, expansion, optimism, good luck, and prosperity. Jupiter's influence can take two opposing directions according to particular circumstances. Its expansive character can multiply the confusions produced by Neptune's energy. However, its associated optimism and grace can be helpful in understanding the spiritual intentions of Neptunian experiences. Jupiter's energy, combined with the visionary aspect of Neptune, fosters in Pisceans their artistic expression. It promotes their ability to appreciate beauty not readily discernible to others. They are accorded the privilege to see beyond limitations. To them is given the task to realize that this gift can enrich not only their personal lives, but the lives of all who come to know them.
Pisces in action. The inner nature of the sign is perceived through the external manifestations of human form and action. Physically, intellectually, and emotionally, each of us bears the signature of our individual celestial disposition. How we look and how we behave at different stages and in different circumstances in our lives is what characterizes us as born in a particular sign.
The Pisces body. Astrology finds in the parts of the body connections to the metaphysical world of the zodiac. Each sign has a physical correspondence. Those links follow a descent from the head in the first sign, Aries, to the feet in the 12th sign, Pisces. These connections are the pillars of medical astrology. Pisces is also associated with the lymphatic system. Pisceans move as if suspended by a rope attached to a cloud that floats in the vicinity of where their heads should be. Their association with feet could mean their necessity to be more grounded in everyday matters. But there is also the inference that their relationship with the feet could mean that Piscean natives are less deluded and romantic than they are judged to be. From a holistic perspective, they are the only ones grounded, and we are the ones living in Fantasyland. Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, is related to the thalamus, the organ concerned with generating and receiving sensory impulses. Therein is the physical seat of Piscean sensitivity. Piscean people are not known for their strong physical constitution. They are susceptible to emotional and stress-related illnesses. Their exaggerated empathy can make them identify with the psychological and physical sufferings of others. They should rely on preventative treatments suited to their nature, such as meditation, lymphatic massages, and reflexology. Pisceans, like those belonging to the other water signs, Cancer and Scorpio, have a low tolerance for alcohol and have to moderate their drinking. They should regularly participate in non-rigorous sports that will contribute to their inner peace. This peace is indispensable if they are to allow their own particular perspectives to inform their lives. The Pisces child. Pisceans feel at home in the aquatic ambience of their mother's womb. To be born can be particularly traumatic for them. They must receive more understanding and manifestations of love than other children for them to adapt to this cold, noisy, and unfriendly world. Piscean children are emotional, tender, generous, and affectionate. They have a smile that can illuminate the world. In general, they are happy, kind, and have a good sense of humor. They rarely become angry or adopt aggressive attitudes. They are very sensitive to the feelings of those around them. They need to establish strong emotional connections. Parents must support their emotionality and teach them to differentiate their feelings from those of others. By doing so, they will enable these offspring to establish healthy relations as they grow older. They have an amazing imagination and enjoy fantasizing. They have lucid dreams and believe in magic, in fairies, gnomes, and all make-believe creatures. They have a well-developed sixth sense. Usually, they have imaginary friends. They often regard these friends as not that imaginary, but rather entities from another dimension. Parents and other adults must respect these special friends. They find it difficult to leave their wonderful, fantastic, and magical worlds in order to adapt to their everyday world. They do not take easily to parental restrictions and to school routines. Moreover, while they may appear to be obedient, their minds are escaping to some distant and strange place. In dealing with Piscean children, adults must help them understand the difference between fantasy and reality. But they must be careful not to denigrate their imagination and the invisible links that they can see between these two realms. They must be aware that these children have the ability to turn everything into something magical. Young Pisceans need a lot of support when they enter adolescence. This stage of mood swings is a critical time for Pisceans. As they grow up, they plunge more often into the profound waters of the unknown. There they can find wonderful treasures, if they are self-assured. But if they are afraid of these deep waters, they will tend to protect themselves with evasive attitudes. They then run the risk of abusing stimulants and drugs, and so may end up becoming disconnected from their social environment.
The Pisces adult. Like the children, Piscean adults are the most sensitive and imaginative people of the zodiac. They are emotive, compassionate, and spiritual. They have a modest, generous, open-minded, and wise disposition. They are particularly intuitive and psychic, and artistically sensitive. Their vision comes from their contact with what lies beyond perceptible reality. They try to offset the harsh, limited, and hostile reality so strange to their nature by creating beautiful illusions and effects for others. That is why Pisceans are good musicians and filmmakers. They relate well to children, sharing their fascination for magic. But that does not imply that they are automatically aware of these abilities. Tunnel vision and dominant cultural patterns confuse them because they do not conform to social stereotypes. Consequently, the intangibility of the sign forces them to adopt contradictory positions throughout their lives. These positions can either bring them success or lock them in unrealistic worlds of their own making. Well-balanced Pisceans are their own people. They need no special stimuli to exercise compassion because they are genuinely loving. Some of them focus these loving qualities on those closest to them. Others exercise their compassion by helping people less fortunate than themselves, the impoverished, the imprisoned, and the sick. Then there are those who use art to express their feelings and concerns. Pisces people are very impressionable and susceptible to the moods of others. They have to learn to distinguish their feelings from those of other people. Pisces people need time and tranquility so as not to become lost in the labyrinth of other people's problems and emotions. Their innate empathy with others, unless exercised with discretion, can lead them to being taken advantage of by unscrupulous individuals. Pisceans love, give, and serve. But the value and the impact of their humanitarianism depend upon the level of consciousness that they bring to their actions.
Moving to the opposite sign. Opposite signs are those signs which are positioned diametrically across from one another on the circular path of the zodiac. When Pisceans are in trouble, such as when they find themselves at odds with their own sensitivity, they tend to escape to their opposite sign, Virgo. Doing that, they move from the holistic concluding sign of the zodiac to the pragmatic sixth sign. They substitute affection and generosity for analysis and discrimination. This rearrangement can benefit them if the reasoning and pragmatism of Virgo is used to solidify the Piscean concern for others. The discriminating power of Virgo can also help them to distinguish between their own and someone else's emotions. However, this transition may be negative for Pisceans if they indulge in the sense of dissatisfaction and criticism associated with Virgo. Doing so They may come to see people with whom they deal as ungrateful. Fortunately, Pisces people cannot linger for long in what for them becomes the sterile Virgo territory. And so they return to their house because Piscean idealism and dedication does not bond well with the realistic and practical nature of Virgo. The Pisces partner. Pisceans breathe love. They are seductive, romantic, understanding, and delicate. They have a strong sense of the likes and dislikes of others. They exude an all-encompassing love and seek complete identity with their loved ones. They are generous, and they recognize and satisfy the needs of companions. They make their partners feel special. But when they feel out of water, they can become cold and distant. If they stray from a committed relationship, it is because they find it difficult to resist emotional connections to another. They are overly sensitive and easily succumb to seduction. Some partners, especially if they belong to an air or an earth sign, will choose to excuse the infidelity because it frees them for a while from excessive Piscean emotionality. Pisceans may appear to be weak because they so willingly adapt to the demands of others. If needed, however, they are capable of enormous sacrifices for their partner. Unfortunately, unscrupulous partners can take advantage of Piscean naivety and their difficulty in establishing personal parameters. When Pisceans are on the receiving end of betrayal, they blame themselves and get depressed. Whatever the circumstance, a Piscean is the ideal individual for those desirous of experiencing the enormity of love. If you can deal with uncertainty, and if the world beyond appearances appeals to you, a Piscean partner can provide immense satisfaction.
The Pisces male. The Piscean man tends to be well balanced in his yin and yang energies. He is nothing like the image of the cliched macho man. He is closer to the ideal, wise, and holistic man of a future new world. He is modest and pays little attention to his reputation. He has a compassionate nature and is detached from the material world. It is only the weakest of them who find it difficult to be true to their nature and so will try to disguise it. The more conscious ones proudly assume the role of the anti-hero and will even exploit it to charm those whom they find interesting. If you are financially independent, have an open mind, and want an affectionate and protective lover, get a Piscean man. But if you are practical, ambitious, and are uncomfortable with sentimental manifestations, stay as far away as possible from him.
The Pisces female. The Pisces woman navigates the currents of society better than her male counterpart. But this does not mean that she is completely comfortable. After all, she is a Pisces. She is affectionate, unselfish, idealistic, intuitive, and psychic. She never tries to dominate, although she is not as passive as she appears to be. Her vulnerability lies in her obsession for a loving and warm companion, someone capable of reaching the depths of her soul. Such obsessions can expose her to deceptive and painful love affairs. When she understands that she has to find her own self, then she will be free to express all her unconditional love. The Pisces woman has an aesthetic sense of delicacy and beauty, which she applies to everything she does. A centered Piscean female is a joy to be with. An insecure or evasive Piscean woman, even with all her loving qualities, can be overly complicated.
The Pisces lover. Pisceans are excellent sexual partners. They like to express their sexuality fully and freely. They are natural and playful in intimacy. They are the most open and non-judgmental people of the zodiac. For them, sex is more an emotional adventure than a physical experience. They are generous and tender and like to give their partners pleasure. Sexual pleasure for Pisceans is all about love, and for them, love is all about living. They are affectionate with everyone, and so it is not unusual for them to have many sexual partners. The erogenous zone for Pisceans is in the feet. Caress them during intimacy, and they, in turn, will bring even greater pleasure to the sex act. Curiously, for such sexual individuals, some Pisces people will forego sex as their most sincere testament to a philosophical or devotional practice.
Pisces at work. The ideal occupations for Pisces people are those in which they can apply their sensibility, their fantasy, and their magic touch. They work best alone in open, comfortable spaces. Nevertheless, they can perform as team workers. While their modesty makes them uninterested in positions of power, they can achieve all kinds of success. When they occupy administrative positions, they give equal dedication to managerial and employee concerns. Piscean managers are just and kind-hearted. When they achieve company goals, they give the credit that they themselves deserve to their co-workers. However, should they not meet expectations, they lose objectivity and blame themselves for the perceived failure. The Piscean employee needs freedom and a congenial atmosphere to be able to work efficiently. When they feel comfortable, they put their talents and imagination to the best use of the company and its staff. But if uncomfortable, they fall into depression and tend to shirk their responsibilities. Pisceans are particularly gifted in the fields of music, poetry, and literature. They also have talent for mathematics and astrophysics. They have special skills for creating illusions and are ideally suited to the film industry and television. They can be gurus, healers, dream interpreters, and hypnotists. They can also become good doctors and veterinarians. Despite their absent-mindedness, Pisceans possess organizational skills that can range from running an institution to organizing a group of volunteers. They are successful in careers that offer service to others, especially the needy, the physically or mentally challenged, and discriminated minorities. Like the fish that they are also effective in activities related to water. Fishermen, oceanographers, sailors, divers, and hydraulic engineers. And since Pisces is the sign of the feet, they may become superior podiatrists, reflexologists, and designers of footwear.
Pisces at leisure. Pisceans find great enjoyment in leisure. They really like doing nothing. They take advantage of these idle periods to make contact with their inner mysterious world. They have no trouble at all spending time quietly fantasizing. They can sit in a cafe or a park for hours, observing all that happens and finding the inner significance of what occurs. They tend to read books dealing with mysticism, religion, and science fiction. They can have a great time living shamanistic experiences. They enjoy movies, illusionists and magicians, television, and the theater. They also like playing games with children, bringing to life dragons, gnomes, extraterrestrials, and all kinds of mysterious and fantastical characters. Pisceans like to travel to broaden their knowledge, to learn different perspectives, and to enjoy the artistic sensibilities of other cultures.
Pisces and Neptune in us all. Pisces energy helps us to disconnect from superficiality and egocentricity. Under its guide, we look to serve those in need. We manifest Piscean traits in moments of introspection and self-examination. It stimulates us to intuit the unity of all things and to see ourselves as part of some greater whole. We should empower these Pisces traits that are in each of us. Doing so, we will become more generous and compassionate. This sign teaches us to love and to build unconditional human relationships. Piscean energy, when well exercised, makes us more open-minded. It enhances our spiritual vision and personal evolution. However, if we do not understand its power, we may suffer periods of uncertainty and confusion. Then we will take refuge in the negative aspects of this sign. We can feel depressed, and we can play the role of the victim. Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, activates our mystical and our artistic natures. Its energy helps us to acknowledge that there is meaning beyond the factual reality. But if we do not fully understand Neptune's signals, we can develop illusionary perspectives about life, full of secretive, self-serving presumptions. We can become megalomaniacs, or we can abuse drugs to evade troublesome issues. Neptune is the patron of mystics, musicians, filmmakers, dreamers, and purveyors of the occult, but also of addicts and alcoholics. We have to rely upon Jupiter, the counter-influence of Neptune and co-ruler of Pisces, to complement our illusions with objective trust in our own abilities and decisions to bring Piscean projects to fruition.
Pisces and the houses of the Zodiac. In the generic wheel of the Zodiac, each sign is related to one of 12 houses. In a numerical sequence, the first sign, Aries, finds itself in the first house, and the 12th sign, Pisces, is located in the 12th house. This is the house of illusions and intangible matters. Our natal chart, the sign and the planets related to the 12th house reflect our connection with the influences passed from the mother to the fetus that will mark the newborn's individuality. These unconscious traits which we must later accept with maturity and detachment. The law of cause and effect, the karmic circumstances through which we must pass. The strength of our imagination and our inspirations. The degree to which we are comfortable with or fearful of fantasy and paranormal manifestations. The secret and unknown elements of the psyche projected onto our relationships. Our dedication and service beyond the necessities of our ego. Our relationship with institutions that seclude or isolate, hospitals, jails, and psychiatric facilities. Our relationship with perceived authority, personal gurus, and centers of spiritual enlightenment. Our spiritual expectations concerning humanity. Our degree of acceptance of and identification with the underlying reality. However, it should be noted that the emphasis put on any one of these matters in our natal chart or in an astrological reading at a determined moment in our lives depends on other astrological factors, on the interest of the consultant, and on the orientation of the astrologer. Pisces and esoteric traditions. Astrology is closely related to other ancient and esoteric traditions developed all over the world to better understand the mystery of life. Each of them searches for the meaning of personal existence within the universe. The knowledge and wisdom of all of these traditions comes from the same source. So while they may talk in different tongues, all speak in one voice. And so, through time, correspondences have been established between the solar signs and these traditional schools of thinking. Knowing some of these links gives us the opportunity to explore more deeply other holistic perspectives gleaned from these very rich and important cultures. Tarot. Tarot is an iconic representation of sacred and esoteric secrets through symbolic pictures. Its history is a matter of debate, but its origins have been said to go back to the most spiritually developed civilizations of the ancient world. The tarot has changed over the ages to such an extent that today it has more than 50,000 different presentations. But only a few of these retain the original symbolism. One of them is the Rider Tarot deck. The main cards of the tarot, called Major Arcana, enlighten the path of our personal growth. The major arcanum of the tarot attributed to Pisces is card number 18, the Moon, or Twilight. Occult links the number 18 with the process of transmutation. It combines the knowledge of Hermes Trismegistus, symbolized by the number 8, with the moral power of the tarot card 8, the Force, and with the power of the conscious mind of card 1, the Magician. Their connection with these energies stimulates Pisceans to consciously process and express the power and the wisdom of their cosmic potential. The sum of the digits 1 and 8 is 9, the symbol of culmination and perfection in the human being. The number 9 represents the tarot's spiritual master, the Hermit, who, having reached the mountaintop, illuminates the path for those still on their quest. From an esoteric point of view, the tarot card 18, the Moon, represents the light from the subconscious that functions in the same way as the illumination from the Hermit. The Moon is the internal energy, the infusion of the cosmic force that permeates Piscean nature. It is the wisdom that can help them to overcome the fear of the unknown and their evasive attitudes born of this fear. The Moon's face, located in the upper part of the card, evokes the feminine side of all human beings. The droplets of light scattered on the earth represent the energy needed to assume the transformation process. The image of the key combines water and dry soil, stones, plants, and crustaceans to emphasize the importance of all of these elements in the origin and evolution of life. As in several of the tarot arcana, there are depicted a mountain and an ascending road. These are the esoteric symbols of the path of personal and spiritual growth. On the sides of the road, there are two animals, a wolf and a dog. They represent human bestiality in its natural state, and the ego that we must all learn to tame with whatever Piscean energy we have, be it strong or weak. The towers appearing on the horizon symbolize the limitations of sensory perception that compound ignorance in humans. The Moon reminds Pisces that their subconscious contact with the soul and the universal spirit will optimize the cellular potential of all their bodies. They have the privilege and the power to easily activate this contact through practices of meditation, dream analysis, or hypnosis. Cabbala.
One of the oldest esoteric traditions of the world that permeates Western culture is the Cabbala, the Jewish mystical tradition. Cabbala gives an explanation of God's nature and the human connection to the divine. That connection is expressed in 32 distinct pathways, symbolized by the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet and the 10 sephirot of the Tree of Life. Recently, this esoteric wisdom has become more and more exoteric. For the first time, the Cabbala is becoming more accessible to everyone. Here we briefly present the relationship that some Kabbalistic schools establish with Western astrology. The Hebrew letter. Hebrew letters have a mystical connection with the creation of the universe. The letter of the Hebrew alphabet assigned to Pisces and to the tarot's the moon is Kaf, which means back of the head. In the Cabbala tradition, the back of the head is the seat of the soul and of all the processes of cellular transformation which are activated during sleep and meditation. Kaf reminds Pisceans that they have the power to transmute their energy. The mastery of corporeal energy is a spiritual topic often appearing in myths and legends. It reaches its maximum expression in religious figures such as Jesus and Buddha, and in Hindu teachers such as Babaji and Sai Baba. The Tree of Life. The Kabbalistic Hebrew spiritual diagram, known as the Tree of Life, conforms to 10 sephirot, representing heavenly man, behind whom is projected earthly man as a shadow. The relation of Pisces to the Tree of Life comes from the planet Jupiter, the co-ruler of this sign, and ruler of Sagittarius. Jupiter is identified with the sephirah Chesed, or love, located in the pillar of compassion. The energy of Chesed is as expansive as the energy of Jupiter. It helps man to transcend the limitations of the physical and the ego in order to become a wise son of Yod, the form of divinity assigned to this sephirah. This identification evokes the Piscean's ability to recognize the divine potential underlying all forms of existence. This recognition makes Pisceans the astrological embodiment of the biblical commandment to love thy neighbor as thyself. Some Kabbalists also relate Pisces and the moon to the sephirah Yesod, or the foundation. It is located in the pillar of synthesis and is identified with the fifth alchemic element, or the fifth essence. This association evokes once again the more evolved Piscean skill to channel subtle energies to the physical plane. Yoga chakras. The chakras are psychic centers of consciousness in Hindu yoga. They are the sense organs of the ethereal body that surround the physical body. The yogic connection between Pisces and the ethereal body is discerned from the particular position of the sign in the zodiac wheel. So Pisces is linked with the sixth chakra, known as Ajna, or the third eye in Hindu philosophy. This energy center is the quintessence of the supreme element in which all other elements are present. Its location in the subtle body, above the bridge of the nose in the medulla plexus, is physically related to the pineal gland. Ajna symbolizes the eye of divinity attracting the subtle forces of nature, as do the individuals of Pisces in the zodiac dynamics. For people believing in reincarnation, this chakra of two luminous petals is related to intuition, clairvoyance, and the sacred sound of the universe, Om or Aum. Like Pisces, which is at the end of the zodiac wheel, it represents the realization that comes after having passed through many painful experiences. Ajna facilitates the Piscean understanding that the prison of the body is necessary for the spiritual evolution in this life and rebirth into a higher level of consciousness in the next life cycle. However, should they evade their mundane duties, they will have to return over and over again until they commit to learn what objective reality has to teach them. Alchemy. For hundreds of years, the alchemists have striven to accomplish the magnum opus, the great work. They have studied science, medicine, and astrology in order to discover the philosopher's stone. Their goal has been to find the elixir, that power that will transmute basic metals into gold. But the alchemical great work and the philosopher's stone do not only refer to metals. The great work is also a spiritual quest. That quest involves a 12-stage process through which human beings must pass to attain spiritual regeneration and enlightenment. The philosopher's stone in this process provides the clues to overcome the world of opposites. The sign of Pisces is linked with the 12th stage of the great work known as the multiplication. In this stage, the alchemist multiplies his conscious level and his vision of reality in order to understand the wholeness. The multiplication and cellular intelligence guide Pisceans on their spiritual path. It reveals to them that their connection with the subconscious is a gift that they should use for the benefit of everyone. Magic. The tradition of white magic links the ruler planet Jupiter of both Sagittarius and Pisces with the weekday Thursday. It symbolizes the crown of perfection. Its signifying color is bluish purple. Its tree of identity is the cedar tree. On the musical scale, it finds its register in La, A, or Sol, G. Its aroma is that of saffron and sandalwood. Its talismans are the scepter, the pyramid, the lance, or the pike. Pisceans attract mineral energy from platinum, tin, pearls, and aquamarine. The Pisces trees are the willow, the fig, and the lime. Aquatic creatures such as dolphins and fish are closely associated to the sign of Pisces. Piscean flowers are the white poppy and reed flowers. The practitioners of white magic use the forces of these elements in their rituals to stimulate compassion in human beings. They also use them to attract subtle energies towards the earth in order to bring our vibrations to a level that can counteract aggression and violence in the present reality. Pisces and mythology. Astrological charts and mythological stories are mirrors of human nature. Both speak the same language of human beings. Astrology and mythology reflect universal and common values and patterns. It is in the skies that these values and patterns are projected. The mythical gods and goddesses, heroes and heroines act them out. Mythic characters can help us to understand more fully some of the features presented in the solar sign.
Greco-Roman culture. It is difficult to identify the affectionate and compassionate Piscean nature with mythological deities and archetypes of extreme behaviors. Mythic characters are capable of acting in the most sublime or the cruelest of manners. They can be kind and protective one moment and then be merciless the next. They are, for the most part, powerful and arrogant, often going about their business in unscrupulous and crooked ways, which is antithetical to the Piscean ethic. Mythological gods, like the majority of us, project their dark side, making it evident for all to see. Pisceans, however, turn inward, and, except in extreme cases, their destructive impulses go unnoticed. Nevertheless, there is a Roman mythological tale involving Venus and her son Cupid that illustrates some of the features of the nature of Pisces. Legend has it that Venus and Cupid, while strolling along the banks of the river Euphrates, were suddenly attacked by Typhoon, a dragon with 100 heads and a tongue of fire. Fearing death, the terrified Venus called out for the intervention of Jupiter. He transformed both her and her son into fish so they could escape the monster by swimming downstream. In another version of the same tale, Venus and Cupid are rescued by two fish, upon whose backs they are carried away from the evil attack of Typhoon. Both versions reveal the Piscean traits of love, compassion, and the disposition to help others. Also, there is the inference of victory over evil or over psychological monsters hiding in the depth of the unconscious. A Greek mythological reference to Pisces is the luminous god Poseidon, later becoming Neptune in Roman mythology. Poseidon was the brother of Zeus and Hades, or the Roman Pluto. Together, they defeated their Titan father, Kronos. Then they divided the world into three parts. Zeus ruled the sky, Hades the underworld, and Poseidon the seas and the rivers. Poseidon is a divinity with many faces. Poseidon Neptune is the embodiment of imagination and artistic sensitivity. The ocean where he lives represents the intuitive mind, inspiration, imagination, dreams, and psychic receptiveness that characterize Pisces people. As an aged god, he symbolizes the wisdom that is beyond the concepts of good and evil. He is undisturbed by circumstances, a behavior shared with more evolved Pisceans. But Poseidon Neptune does not always act in a benevolent way. He guides people to realization by using his power to unleash forces that make people confront their fears. Odysseus, the Greek hero in the Trojan War, was a particular victim of Poseidon's malevolence. In his return to his home in Ithaca, he had to overcome life-threatening monsters to which the currents of Poseidon's oceans drove him. Each episode called into question Odysseus's integrity and his love for his wife, Penelope. Each time he was successful, and he arrived in Ithaca just in time to thwart the greedy and lascivious intentions of the 108 suitors of the faithful Penelope. Like Odysseus, Pisceans must confront difficulties that arise from the conflict between the demands of everyday temptations and the psychic agenda of their sign's energy. Doing so, they will successfully navigate the deep currents of their water element and reach the safe harbor of their loving consciousness. Christianity. The fish has a special meaning in Christian traditions. It is the symbol of Jesus Christ. It is the first letter of his title, Son of God and Redeemer. Jesus' disciples were mostly fishermen. The first Christians drew fish on the walls of the catacombs. It is popularly believed that the arrival of Jesus marked the beginning of the age of Pisces. This is an age supposed to be as loving and compassionate as Pisces' nature. But our ignorance transformed it into one shaped by confusion and blind faith, the negative aspects of Pisces. Fortunately, it is drawing to a close, with a resurgence of public awareness of and interest in ancient spiritual wisdom. This rebirth of a wider consciousness will be needed to promote fundamental social changes in the forthcoming years. It is important to acknowledge that we are in a transitional period leading to the Aquarius age. Now is the time for Piscean compassion, generosity, and the spirit of collaboration to become the common values that will define a new society centered in love for humanity and nature. One tale that instructs the Christian imagination is the story of Jonah and the whale. Jonah was a prophet who, in defiance of an order from God, set sail in his boat. As punishment, God called forth a great storm that overturned his boat, and, falling into the sea, Jonah was swallowed by a whale. After 3 days in the dark belly of the Leviathan, Jonah was spewed out of the mouth of the whale, and from then on led a preacher's life of repentance. Jonah, like Odysseus and many other heroes, succeeded in transforming his life into a more evolved consciousness. The same outcome awaits Pisceans who intimate a successful closure of a cycle of life as symbolized by the Zodiac wheel.
The Afro-Latin American tradition. From the colonial slave trading days to the present, very old African religious beliefs have influenced Latino American culture. The explicit relationship between the sign of Pisces and Jupiter, and the implicit one with the unconscious and cryptic moon, connect Pisces to two of the greatest orishas of the Yoruba tradition. Jupiter points to Obatala, identified with the Olympian god Zeus. In the syncretism of this tradition with the Christian religion, it is also identified with Nuestra Señora de la Merced, Our Lady of Mercy. On the other hand, the moon addresses Yemaya, Artemis, or Nuestra Señora de Regla. Obatala is the father of all the orishas, or the king of kings. He is the divine symbol of purity, and his color is white. Obatala is invoked to unleash curses and to protect people from evil energies. The legend tells that the creator Olorun Olofi yielded the power to conceive humanity to Obatala. But Obatala loved wine, and sometimes his creations were not perfect. As a result, disabled people are known as Obatala's children. Half of Obatala's creations are masculine, and the other half are feminine. In Africa, Obatala and his wife Oduduwa are represented as two conjoined white heads. That is why some people think of Oduduwa as Obatala's feminine side. Yemaya, or the moon, is known as the Great Mother. She is more directly related to the sign of Cancer, but she also possesses some Piscean traits. As Yeye Omo, she is the mother whose children are fish. She rules the amniotic fluid in the womb and the waters of the sea. Her colors are blue and white. Like Pisces Neptune, this popular goddess can act as the majesty of the treasures of the seven seas, or as a violent and destructive queen. These connections with characters representing purity and imperfection, tenderness and cruelty, masculinity and femininity, illustrate the enigmatic and holistic Piscean nature. Such a complex nature is difficult to understand for those who are confined to experience only one side of life.
Using the Pisces potential. Pisces is probably the most challenging sign of the zodiac. In spite of being the most aquatic sign, Pisces synthesizes the impulsiveness of the fire signs, the sensuality and love of nature of the earth signs, and the talents for abstraction of the air signs. Pisceans have to assimilate these diverse energies through their compassionate nature and their mystical soul-searching. They are given the means of using their fantasizing to express this wonderful synthesis of full human potential. Pisceans must appreciate the many and varied resources at their disposal and understand their exceptional location in the zodiac wheel. Doing so, they will freely exude the generosity of the universe. Pisceans have the power to love in the fullest sense of the word. Through this love, they can transfer innate wisdom to others by way of example or by reaching spiritual mastery. However, we must be conscious that each one of us is influenced by the 12 solar signs and all the planets in our birth chart. Studying their position and relations will help us to accomplish the ancient precept, know thyself. Understanding oneself is to understand other humans as well.